Continues, and it seemed like you did really well without them. Anybody have to use their toes? Anybody cut their toenails? As we talked about it, hygiene is important.
I hope you cut your toenails.
Well, I have a person at home, one of my kids. I'm not going to say who. We have to fight them on it, so I'm not sure. You people are this, kids. Okay. Anywho, yesterday we added numbers with like and unlike signs. And if they had like signs, we added the numbers and we were told to keep the sign. That would look like -6 plus a -9. It was an addition problem. You add them and then you keep the sign. We had numbers with different signs. And when that happened yesterday, we had to subtract the numbers and keep the sign of the larger number. So that would be like a -7 plus, well, let's do +7 plus a -9. Unlike signs being added, we subtracted, and then 9 is always bigger than 7, so we kept the sign. That was yesterday. Today, we're going to subtract numbers, and you're going to rewrite it as an addition problem with the opposite. Okay. So, we have just a couple problems, short time, and we're going to do it. You ready? I'm not even going to do an example of that one. All right. In the box, we're going to start here. So, do you notice this is subtraction today? You learned, you might not want to write it like this, but you did learn. You're always going to recopy the first one and add the opposite of the second one. So we're going to always change our subtraction to adding. And what's the opposite of a -6? +6. This is going to help us down the road. Is it an extra step? Yep. Can you do it without this step? Yep. But there's a reason we're teaching you this way. And then this is a problem like last night. We're adding unlike signs. You could do it in your head, and then you keep the sign of the larger number. Letter B. It's a subtraction. So you are going to add the opposite. And then it's a problem like last night. We have unlike signs. You subtract and take the sign of the larger number. Can somebody tell me how to write letter C with this guy? Writing it as an addition problem. Jacob, go ahead. We sure have missed you.
So you do -6 plus +7.
Okay.
Wait, no, because that would be -7.
Yes, very good. So you add the opposite. So the opposite of a +7 is a -7. Yes. And then what, Jacob? What would my final answer be? And you weren't even here yesterday.
-30.
Yes, because you add and keep the sign.
I was thinking the double negative.
That's,
positive.
yes, that's when they're back to back, or multiplication. So letter D, you're going to rewrite the first, and you're going to add the opposite. The opposite of a +2 is a -2. And from yesterday, that's a -8. Some people can see it as the subtraction is like a -2, and those are like signs, and you add and keep the sign. But I really would like for you to rewrite it. This guy, did anybody ever remember that back-to-back negatives are a positive, like Jacob was just saying? Anybody else besides Jacob remember that?
I'm smart.
You are smart. Well, what that means is if I rewrite this as adding the opposite, it all goes to plus. So that's why back-to-back negatives do make a positive. Okay. Alrighty. So for letter F, I'm going to rewrite the first, add the opposite. Is my final answer going to be positive or negative, guys? Would you rather have $4.30 or $3.70? Because 4.3 is bigger, and the arithmetic without a calculator should be 0.6. Anybody remember that from last year? Yes? No? Okay. Well, let's do a couple more, or even just one more. All right, Lily, pick for me A, B, or C. B. Okay, awesome. Second period picked A. You have problems like this again tonight, where you're given an expression and you have to substitute in who is what. So, -2 is T. I copy my minus. What does it tell me to put in for R, guys? With Serenity?
-7.
Okay. Well, you have to recognize this as a subtraction problem. So I'm going to add the opposite. Instead of a -7, I'm going to do a positive and a subtraction. If that was last night, what's our answer, Jacob?
5.
Yeah, unlike signs, you subtract and keep the sign in a bigger number. That's all we're doing with these notes, because the back has fractions. We're going to revisit that at another time. All right. I'm going to knock off the fraction ones today.